fun do you find marketing?
Fun marketing don't usually go together in my vocabulary, I'm afraid. There's two things. Um, Actually, it's strange for new business owners. Marketing is like a sort of alien concept to them because they don't really know what marketing is. That's part of the problem. They think sales is marketing. They think that just being on talking to someone is marketing, and it's like I'd say the difference is I think is that they don't know what they're supposed to tell people. They
Mm.
don't know what they think people are looking for. They tell people what they think people are looking for, and that's probably why they don't like it a lot because it's things they think I don't know what they really want. They get themselves confused. So, from a clarity perspective, from someone who specializes in that, what is marketing, Mags?
You know what? I always, and just, I obviously, I have a background in education. So I always say, really, marketing is just teaching people about what you do and who you
Hmm.
are. And I think why people put a lot of pressure on it is um, because you have to obviously sell your services in order to have your
Yeah.
business run. Like that's part of it. But then and you as a mindset guy, Tony, will know how many hangups people have about selling, right? Like,
Yes.
because it's scary to ask to be valued.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's exhausting to have to convince people that you have value.
Hmm.
And those are all sort of the hang-ups, because really what marketing is tell people about your passion and about
Hmm.
what it is that you do and why you do it and how it's going to make their life better. It's actually, and those are quite fun things to talk about,
Yeah.
right?
I agree. I use three words at the beginning of each year for me that in different aspects of the business, what my life even, and it's communicate, educate, collaborate. These three words. Now, to educate people, you have to communicate. You have to communicate somehow, but people don't realise that every single time they talk to somebody about the business, they're marketing. They go to a
Yeah.
network event, they say, I don't know what to say. Just tell people who you are and what you do. That simple. And they'll say to me, but when I go there, all these people, all these proper, I love this, they always say to me, proper business owners are all standing there, and I don't know how to say it. And I went, if you walked in anywhere, family, and what's the first thing you say? Hiya. Right, so why don't you do the same thing when you go there? Just hello, how are you? Don't hello, what you do. That's what people do. They walk and go, hello, what you doing? And then people, even they feel awkward. You start feeling awkward how to describe it. Just talk to each other. That's marketing. Every single time you talk to somebody about your business, it's marketing.
And honestly, if you're at a networking thing, like we have this idea that we have to have this sort of perfect pitch ready.
Mhm.
And I always stumble through my pitch. Like I go, well, I kind of do this, and I'm the word lady. So, but I sometimes I just find it difficult to really articulate um, what it is that I do, but then make it into a, I don't know, I make it into a bit, but like it's just it's communicating as well. Like marketing isn't just communicating what you do, it's also communicating who you are. And if
Mhm.
you are someone who kind of wings it a little bit, and or show, make a joke, show your humor, like
Mhm.
it's because that's what people need to know as well, right? It's not just this is my service and this is how it's going to benefit you. It's like, who am I buying from? uh,
Mhm.
who is this person? What makes them them? Which is why storytelling is so important. And I think actually I wrote something about it yesterday. People are like, oh, I have to tell stories, and then they then they tell a story, which is nice, and then they just kind of awkwardly segue into a pitch for their latest
Mhm.
thing, right? And it's like now you've completely ruined the story or the effect that the story had, because now rather than feeling that connection with you, people feel like you're manipulating the connection
Yep.
in order to pitch at them, right? So I think that's where people get marketing wrong a lot. Is either they ask for the sale too much or they never ask, right? And
Yep.
you have to find sort of that sweet spot where you're sharing and communicating and showing up, and not jamming offers down people's throats,
Mhm.
or walking away without ever mentioning that you actually have a business.
Yep. And I went to an event, a networking event last week. It was not necessarily for me, it was actually for one of my clients. But they were so nervous we were talking about going to it. It didn't matter how much I was trying to work on their mindset. She went, I know when I go there, I'll just go blank. I went, okay, why don't I come along so you get some moral support because you can see me in there. When so instead of aiming at everybody else, just stare at me and tell me your pitch, the same as you would do here. So I got to practice me yet and do that. That was fine. But then when it came to me, I was sort of like you just said a moment ago. I was so concerned about getting hers right that when I started going to explain it, I realised I've just about to say what she does instead of what I do. So I turned it on its head. I went, I do that. Well, it's always hard to describe what you do, isn't it? And I said to her, I called her out, Janine, I was like, Janine, tell me what do I do? So she did, and I went, this is the best picture you never get when one of your clients tells people what you do rather than you doing it yourself. That's what I do. And it was great. It was a bit of fun, but she get put on the spot, but she found it easier, she said, to tell people what I did than to actually do her own.
Hi.
So I said, well, why don't you do it next time? Get two of you to go to the event and then do that to each other. When it's your 36 minutes or 60, whatever it is, do the opposite. You tell the other person does, and they'll do the same for you. No one's expecting that. So it was a bit of fun. And what I was explaining to them is that's what marketing should be about. Don't put, you're right, put all that pressure on yourself. And someone said to me, he said, but it's all this AI stuff then. I can't get that. So I showed an image that I did a year ago, I think, when I had that same thing. I was doing a session on AI for marketing. And someone said, but it's so intense, so serious. So I just put a wee post in where they were all, a wee prompt in where they're all looking, is I love the 80s. I was born in the 80s. Please put me back to what I looked like in the 1980s. And I put in the bands that I liked, Flock of Seagulls, The Adam and the Ants. This thing made a combination of all of them. I'm not quite sure what the image was, but it went viral when I put it out there. And then all these people asking, how did you do that? I want to do that. So then suddenly there was all these other people's posts appearing with the same 80s thing. And the guy said to me, but how does that help your business? I went, think about it. I put that out and that's all people saw, but it saw a fun side of me, but using AI to promote me. And he went, how did it promote you? I went, because I could put a business post out and I would have got maybe 100 views. I put that out, I got thousands of views, but I got all these new people suddenly going, who is this person? And looking at my stuff now. It was fun, it was simple, and yet it was the best marketing I had done in a long time.
But, and this is, I think, the crucial part here, it was spontaneous, it was
That's it.
authentic, it wasn't
Yep.
made. And I think that's where it gets tricky. It wasn't necessarily planned or it wasn't strategized. It just happened in the moment. It was organic, and then it works, right? Because I think what we sometimes forget is people are quite clever about knowing when something is fake,
Yeah.
more than we maybe give them credit for, especially
Hmm.
in today's world and with all of the AI stuff happening. But people can sense if there's a person behind something, if there's
Yeah.
a genuine emotion behind something. Like um, we're not daft, and
Yeah.
we don't like to be manipulated. So if as soon as something feels manipulative, it it kind of rubs us the wrong way. So, and a lot of marketing and a lot of the sort of, oh, you should be doing this and that goes into, it is a little bit manipulative, right? And that's, I think, as well, why people feel icky about it, is because not only do we not like to be manipulated, we're not the kind of people who want to show up and trick people into buying stuff from us, right? Like
Hmm.
that's not who we are. And then we feel like we have to put on this role of car salesman.
There's nothing wrong. I
Because,
know friends at car salesmen, I'll tell them this.
but
What's
you
this
know
part?
what I mean, right? Like it's these big ideas that we have about what marketing is and
Mhm.
how it's tricking people into buying from you, and and those are things that don't feel comfortable in our system because they rub up against our core values.
Yeah. But the things you're not to get mixed up with is, and even though we're talking about it can make sales sound scary, sales a lot of the time for me is just providing a service that another person needs.
Yes.
That's sales. That's what it should be. So if you use the right language, use the right questions, you find what the person wants, a lot of the time you don't actually have to sell because what you start to realize with your marketing is you're providing the solution that they're actually looking for. Or as a coach, a lot of people got the transformation, the transitioning, whatever word you want to use. That's what they're looking for. If you do that, 9 times out of 10, you'll find you're not actually selling to anybody. What you're doing is
Well,
just giving them the service they need.
yeah, give them the information, give them the pathway
Yeah.
to
To
hire
find how to
you.
get to you. Yep.
But and I think as well, like something that you always talk about when you do your sales calls, like it's to see if you like me, it's to see if I like
Yep.
you, and
Hmm.
and I think that's an important part as well to make sales less um scary. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um if you're willing to walk away from it, then right, like you always have to, or at least that's how I kind of view it. Like if it's not for that person, it's not for that person, and that is
Yep.
okay. I don't have to sell at any cost. I don't have to, you know, keep throwing it at them. If they say no, they say no. That's fine. Maybe they'll say yes in 6 months' time. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean,
And maybe it's just not for them, and maybe I'm not the right person, or it's not the right service, or they're not ready yet, or there's so many reasons why someone might say no to you pitching your product or your service, but none of it really has anything to do with who you are. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't
yeah. It's,
doesn't reflect on your value as a person
yeah.
or a business owner.
Sometimes it's just the fact that you've not explained enough to them the value they're going to get. They need to see the value in it for them, and if they don't, that may be just why. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's not you personally, and that's the biggest thing with people I work with. They think every time someone says no, it's personal,
It's rejection,
and
right?
it's no. Yeah, and that's why the fear becomes of suddenly selling. So that's why the marketing becomes a fear. I've put something right in the last couple of days about why people fear that because they fear being visible. It sounds weird, but marketing is a big thing recently. I've seen a lot about faceless marketing. Don't put yourself out there. Don't let people see you. Put your things out. Yet, what do we always say? People buy from people. So if you're doing faceless all the time and people buy from people, it contradicts what you're actually saying in your message. And you're right as well as I had someone recently who I think is fantastic at what they do. But they were told by someone else about how to use an AI thing to sell everything, and they did that. But they were wondering why, when they got on the calls, people just rejecting them point blank. I said, well, there's a simple reason. Why? Because the person who was on that they saw online is not the person that spoke to them when they come on the phone. Because the stuff that was getting put out there is not in your language. So when you start speaking and they say, that doesn't sound like that, this doesn't go together, they feel as though they've
They
been
feel the
conned. It's something
disconnect,
different.
right? Like
Yes.
they and that's why I always say consistency. When people talk about consistency in marketing, they go like, "Oh, you have to post every day," or stuff like that. And I'm like, no, consistency is wherever someone meets you on their journey, whether they have never heard of you, whether they're on your newsletter, whether they are your client, whether they are a former client, they have to meet the same person,
Yes.
right? Like you have to be the same person throughout. And so one of the things, because I used to have a client who just hated being on video. It's just not for her. But everybody kept telling her you have to go on video because that's what the algorithm wants. And I said, well, if you don't like being on video, don't go on video because none of your deliverables are video.
Mm.
All of them are like reading. So you need to find people who enjoy reading long form posts because
Yep.
they are going to thrive in your course. And she, like, it completely baffled her because every marketing person she had spoken to had told her, no, you have to do video. And I was the only person who said, if that's not you, that's not you. And there are people who don't like watching videos. So,
Hmm.
so what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Like, because then it feels like a bait and switch. Because now you're attracting all these people who like watching videos and then they come into your course and there's no videos.
Yep. And I think that's why I was saying about marketing is the simplest way for marketing for me is to tell people what you want them to hear about what you do. All right? But you need to make sure it's also what they want to hear. That's the thing, is getting that connection between what you're happy to say and what they need to hear. When you find that bit right, it's great. And marketing can be fun because once you get the right audience and you put things out, you start to feel good because they're actually engaging with everything that you do. Whereas if you keep putting things out and there's no one engaging with it, it feels demoralizing. If they're not new business owners, that's why they feel they can't do marketing. And it's actually not what they think. So I think a lot of the time, same with sales for me, stop looking at everything in a negative and look at it and say, okay, if it's me and I'm sitting here and someone's going to sell something to me, how would I like that to be told? Because if you are doing it in such a way that you're right, pushing it down their throats, and you don't like that, if someone calls you up and says, "Oh yeah, I want to speak to you about this," I'm not interested. Or if they send you these emails bombarding, "I can help you to do this, I can help with that," and you're not interested, why would you do the same thing to other people? Why not
Yeah,
do it the way you like?
exactly. And I think a lot of people, their response to not getting reactions is to put out more content rather than to just take a step back,
Yeah,
get clarity, get
yeah,
understand what it is you're doing, figure out what the purpose is of what you're creating. Like tell stories for sure, but figure out how they fit in
mhm,
with your message. Um, and and I always say, like, just show up as yourself. If you swear during sessions, swear in your marketing. Like, if you're making jokes all the time, make jokes in your market. Like, show up the way that you would for a client in your marketing as well, because that's who
mhm.
you are. Like, uh, don't feel like you have to put on your marketing mask because it puts people off. It's going to get you the wrong clients, and the wrong clients, honestly, getting the wrong client is almost always more detrimental than getting no client.
Yep, that's why I've done videos before on this, the psychological masks, why we put all these things on in different places, and one of why we don't like things. And a lot of the time I say, well, you keep doing this for the masks. I've said it to you before. People stare at a mirror and attempt to do these mask things. But no, for us, we're talking, when we've done it, we're sitting up shop. We
Yeah, I know.
spoke about this in the videos. And I say to people all the time, the difficulty becomes as you keep looking at a mirror and you take the marketing one off, the one with your colleagues, the one with friends, the one for sales, the one for finance, everything, you actually don't know when to stop when the real one of you is. You can't find that face anymore, that person anymore, because you've tried to adapt so much that everybody else wants. Instead of looking internally, you're looking externally. Look inside and see who you really are, because that's what people relate to. Was the right language, whether it's video, whether it's an image, whether it's whatever it is that you want to do. And the thing to remember, you said a great point on Mike, that people all learn in different ways. We've all got our own learning styles. Some people like video, some like audio only. They'll put the video on, but they won't look at you. They'll just listen to it. You see so many people now with podcasts that's doing that because they don't need to see the person, but they need to hear the person. They want to hear that in their voice, the passion, the emotion, the intensity when they talk about things they want to do, the sincerity that's in that. There's some people need that in the written word. So you need to have that same passion, emotion, sincerity in the written word, the video, what is audio. You said everything has to be that consistency of you, but do it because you enjoy it. That's the fun part comes into marketing. Like I said at the beginning, for me, marketing and fun don't usually go together. But what the fun part is that I just said when I realised I just have to be myself and let people see the real me. And I think I get told a lot of that. I still probably not the best at it, is I don't put a lot of personal things out. I sort of keep two separate. But personalising things different from personal things. So I personalise everything in mind. Yeah, that way I like to work. But you don't always have that. So a lot of people's worry is putting too many personal things out. You don't need to do that. The clients are not looking for what you do personally. They're looking to how you make them feel. They
I
look at
mean,
what you're going to do transformation.
I share about my pets because they often show up during client calls.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And
or,
it's
when we're recording these.
yes, and an ear sticking in at the moment, maybe
Yep.
you can just put it there. Yeah. And for me, a lot of time I say to people, is the music. I talk a lot about that because that's my passion. That I've always got a headphone or something on wherever I am. I just love music. Morning, noon, and night, you'll find me doing it. I said it before, I'm standing doing ironing or something like that in the house and I'm dancing away. People can walk by the window and must wonder what this guy's doing because I'm always doing it.
I
But
am very glad that I live on the second floor and nobody can look into my window because otherwise they would definitely be wondering what's going on.
But it's bringing that into it, and I think that was one of the first things that I realised. I put something about a song or a bit of a song because I loved the words of it into a post, and it was amazing how many people suddenly, oh, I love that, I know that song, and I was like, I can't remember what it was now, but it was something that probably a lot of people wouldn't have thought about. So, oh, it was Terry Jacks, it was that "Season the Sun" it was called, and it was a bit about that and about saying goodbye, and it was all about that and the words that's used in the song. And so many people related to that, and I went, but that's something I've loved since I was a child. I never thought about marketing with that. And I realized that's things that I love. I put a lot of things like that into mine, whether it's
Yeah.
music or places I go and everything. And I realized that's the personalizing part of a lot of doing it is people
Well,
seeing that.
and I think that when people think about, oh, you have to share personal stories, they think like, oh, I have to, share my entire life
Yep.
with the world. And that is absolutely not true. It can be it can be a song, or it can be a picture of your pet, or it can be like a one sentence that just
Yep.
shares something about you, who you are, and what, and because it's not about what you do in your personal life, it's about letting people in on your values,
Mhm.
right? Like that's what you're trying to create through that storytelling, is like, who is this person beyond a business owner? And that doesn't have to be rags to riches. That doesn't have to be you don't have to trauma dump to your audience. Like, please don't. Have a therapist for that stuff. The internet is not your journal. And
Yep.
but you know, adding these little personal notes and little glimpses into your personality, your sense of humor, and that's why I always say, like, if you make the joke with a client, then make the joke in your marketing.
Mhm.
If you swear, then don't be afraid to swear on your podcast or in your post, right? Because if someone finds that offensive and they start working with you, and then suddenly you start swearing where you've never done it before, then that
Yeah.
also show up as like, oh, this doesn't feel comfortable, right? So
Mhm.
just show up as much, and this is where the authenticity comes in, right? Like, show up as much like yourself as you possibly
Mhm.
can.
Yeah. That's the perfect way at the end, talking about fun and marketing, is literally be consistent, is to be yourself. Go out and let people know. Just tell people what you do and who you are. That's what all you want to do in marketing, and that's what will make it fun.
So do things that are fun.
Yeah, go enjoy it and then let us know how you got on with that.
All right.